Lights on. And we're off. Much better start this time from Julian van der Vat. Robert Volk goes alongside him. That'll be the first time that Robert Volk has had to do a standing start in one of these cars. So Keegan Campos certainly knows what to do in a standing start. And it's the two newcomers. Well, not newcomers. Welcome back, Robert Volk and Keegan Campos, straight off track, almost instantaneously. That is not the welcome return they wanted. Campos off track with Volk onto the grass, and a long way back here for Keegan Campos in the Campos Transport BMW. Out front though, great start from Van der Vat. Looks like the two Toyotas have just squeezed through between the two Volkswagen GTIs, and we've got Michael van Rooyen and Jason Gutierrez in the mix. Campos' car slowing. He's got a problem. Robert Volk and Campos coming together in turn one, and the two of them ending up on the grass, and I think it's damage to both cars by the looks of things. We'll keep an eye on that as they come through to wrap up the first lap of the race, but I can tell you that is not how they wanted this to start. It's two cars out of that touring car field. Atkinson leads out over Tyler Robinson and Jason Loosemore. Vastanis is up into fourth place. So he's made up one position to squeeze through on Nico Zafiris. Zafiris with a bit of pressure coming now from Davide Franco, who's tucked in behind there in the GSW car there. But pressure already being applied onto the back end of Tyler Robinson by Jason Loosemore. The Team Red and AF Fans car being hunted down by the Renegade car there of Jason Loosemore. Out front, just trying to pick up on potentially what happened there in terms of sorting things out. It was a change up for, is that the lead? I think it was. Yes, it was for the lead. No, it's not. It's for second place. Second place, we saw Casey Enzo-Smith trying to find a way into second then in the second of the Golfs. He's got a little bit of damage to the front end of his car, so that was potentially one of the reasons why either Robert Volk or Keegan Campos ended up on the grass on the exit of turn one as they complete lap number one. And let's have a quick look. We might have a look at that replay into turn one as we see the first four cars going through turn one there. Michael van Rooyen in fourth place on the back end of Casey Enzo-Smith. Last year's champion. So here we go. This is on board with Campos. Yeah, definitely. Campos and Volk and Casey Enzo-Smith involved in that incident down into turn one. That's why we've got a bit of damage on the second Golf out on track at the moment with Enzo-Smith behind the wheel. So this is how things have turned out here for the first run for Super Touring cars. And these touring cars are now doing double time around the track to get away from their rivals. Jason Gutierrez up into second place, pulling away now from Casey Enzo-Smith. A battle we kind of saw a little bit of down in Cape Town at Jason Gutierrez's home track. It's a circuit that he isn't too much a fay with here. Campos had to go into pit lane. He went in for a quick checkup. Back on track though, just to make sure everything's right on the car. He will now use this, I'm sure, for a little bit of testing to get some valuable data for this car and hopefully get it back up to speed in terms of a good lap time, or possibly he'll be thinking about the reverse grid for race 2 later on this afternoon. So that's why I think Keegan Campos has made his way back onto the circuit. He knows he's got to try and complete as many laps and stay within the contention to be involved in that inverted grid for race 2 later on this afternoon. Atkinson pulling away now from Tyler Robinson. Roars doing exactly what I thought he might do here at Red Star Raceway. The experience he's got at this track is paying off big dividend at the moment as he pulls away from Tyler Robinson and from Jason Loosemore in the SupaCup class. On board with Rory Atkinson now. Little look in the rearview mirror. And that's the way you do it. Plain sailing at the front end. Top four evenly matched and equidistant apart. Then it's Zafiris, who's got Davide Franco closing down on him. Behind that comes Berthold. Berthold under attack as well. A little manoeuvring there coming from also a welcome return to SupaCup class. Brad Liebenberg. Not quite on the pace he wants to be on though. Remember Brad using this weekend just to get some seat time. He's piloting the Calyx Polo there. And his, of course, reason for being in the car this weekend is to get himself a little bit more affay with front-wheel drive as he heads on international duties next weekend and goes to participate in the first round of the German SupaCup class category that, of course, all these cars in SupaCup were built and sent overseas to participate in. Tyler Robinson will be joining him. This is a nice little fight. Kind of what we have seen on a few occasions in a Formula 1600. But now in touring cars, it's Casey Ensor-Smith closing on Jason Coetzee. Do love the fact that there's a nice little fight between the two of them, but it's allowing Julian van der Walt acres of room to get away here and open up a big margin. The plan here would have been to try and get a Golf 1-2-3 if they could. Not always easy to do, but needless to say, it's certainly going to be Jason Coetzee spoiling the day here for a 1-2. If he can stay where he is right now, Van Rooyen and Andrew Schofield will be thinking second race, inverted grid maybe. But I don't think they realise that Keegan Campos is back on track as we watch Rory coming through into the tricky sections there. Trying to hang on as Van der Walt sets the fastest lap of the race on the last pass. Rory Atkinson is trying to keep out Tyler Robinson, I beg your pardon. And then Tyler Robinson's pulled a little bit of a gap now over Jason Loosemore. Berthold closes the gap down to Zafiris. Liebenberg's made up one place. He's found a way through there on Davide Franco. So a nice run from the two of them. So it's Van der Walt out front in touring cars. It's Rory Atkinson out front in the Super Cup class. As Liebenberg closing on Berthold on Zafiris. A little bit of breathing room there for Nicky Vastanis at the moment, but not a lot. As we watch them going down into turn 4. Brad closing the gap, under braking, using maybe a bit more experience that he's got with the multiple SA championships that he's won to close that gap down. Push to pass being used there. You can see the hazard lights coming on Jason Loosemore's car. That just shows that he goes for the additional power that's available on these push to pass mechanisms that these cars run. Down into the tight hairpin at turn 6. Liebenberg closes the gap down on Berthold. Berthold has done the same thing onto the back end of Zafiris. Nico Zafiris under a little bit more pressure now from Berthold and from Liebenberg. Liebenberg trying to close the gap down even more now as they come out of the dog bone. Davide Franco and Rick Leroux behind them. It's quite a long way back to Rick Leroux because they're only master in this category this weekend. So pretty much plain sailing there for Rick if he stays where he is for the Masters victory. Berthold late on the brakes. Can he get through on Zafiris? Yes, he can. Bjorn Berthold finding a pretty easily way through there to get ahead of Nico Zafiris, who now puts himself into the clutches of Brad Liebenberg as they cross the line. Heading down into turn 1, onto the brakes they go. Zafiris not trying to come back at Berthold if he can. Instantaneous answer would be the optimum one, but he's not quite close enough. That's awesome stuff here from our drone, staying right up close and personal with Brad Liebenberg's tailpiece as they head towards 4. Liebenberg trying to close the gap. A little open up of the door there from Berthold. Berthold ran a little bit wide, but Zafiris couldn't capitalize. He wasn't close enough as that mistake was made by Bjorn Berthold. Chad Berthold, I beg your pardon. Chad Berthold, not Bjorn. Apologies on that one. I'm going to try and remember the two brothers. But Judd doing a pretty spectacular job here. He was, of course, the pole man. So losing out slightly there. Probably because of the standing start. I'm not sure if he's used to standing starts as much as everybody else. He's also learning how to get these cars off the line from a standing start. Here comes Brad, though, applying massive amounts of pressure onto the back end of Nico. Zafiris soaking it up for now, not allowing Brad any chance right now It's quite interesting to see this though, because a couple of seasons ago, of course, Brad Limburg was teaching Nico what to do, and now the roles are reversed. Although, yeah, it shouldn't take too much longer. I was expecting a maneuver a little bit earlier on there from Brad, but he waited until he came into turn 11, set it up, opened up the door, and snuck through. Similar vein to what Casey Enso-Smith is trying to do here to Jason Gutsia. Oh, Gutsia with a big lock up into 4. Feeling a bit of pressure there is Jason Gutsia for the Gazoo Racing Toyota Corolla team. WCT and the two Volkswagen Golfs are 1 and 3 on the road at the moment. Casey Enso-Smith certainly looking to get ahead of Jason Gutsia by the time these next couple of laps are done. They've got 2.5 laps to go, these two. Michael Van Rooyen and Andrew Schofield sitting 4 and 5 on track at the moment, thinking, hang on a second, 4 and 5 might be the front row of the inverted grid later on, so they're not going to fight too hard to catch these guys. Securing points is crucial at this stage of the championship. Not risking breaking cars, knowing that you've got a chance of a front row start with the inversion in race 2. So it could be a bit of strategy being played in by these two. And the factor, of course, that'll certainly come into play will be whether Keegan Campos and Robert Volk can get their cars sorted out and back onto race pace for the restart. They'll have to start from the back of the pack of the touring cars, but needless to say, if they've got pace, they will be into the hunt quickly at the front end of the field. Little dive there from Casey Enso-Smith, but Gutsia had him covered. Covers him once again going into turn 2. Not going to allow him to have any opportunity to dive through and squeeze up into second, make it Investchem and WCT team 1 and 2 for now. Berthold now through on Vastanis. So Judd certainly has got some good pace in that car. Can he put it all together though to keep it at the front end and maybe get up here to Tyler and Rory? Rory starting to slip and slide a little bit there. You can see him fighting the wheel ever so slightly there coming out of turn 1. Tyler Robinson opened up a good advantage now over Jason Loosemore, so it's pretty much a fight, two-way fight here for the lead. Loosemore no longer in the picture. Loosemore for third place, comfortable on his own in third though. Don't have to worry too much about it. So a bit of a celebration year here for Volkswagen Motorsport, as you can see on the side of that car of Rory's. It's 30 years of Polo Cup, but it's 75 years of Polo. So nice to see the celebrations on the side of the car and the liveries being put onto the cars there by Volkswagen Motorsport. Rory's car, of course, is prepped by Andre Halp though. So a slight change up to the normal way of proceedings, but having won Polo Cup last year, part of the prize is a drive fully paid for in SupaCup. And he's enjoying every aspect of that as Julian van der Walt starts his final lap. And he's got a comfortable margin ahead now of Jason Gutsia. It's about 4.5 seconds between himself and Gutsia. Gutsia's under massive pressure though, as Casey Enso-Smith is looking for a way through, and he's being forced wide. Just in the background there, you could just see it there as Casey Enso-Smith was fighting with Jason Gutsia. And the two of them coming side by side out of turn 2. Stand by for them coming down here towards turn 4 now. Oh, here we go. Enso-Smith is putting massive pressure onto the back end of Jason Gutsia. He's soaking it up though. But Casey knows he's got to go now if he wants that second place. He's got good drive out of turn 5. Can he now use the slipstream effect? Maybe catch Jason Gutsia on the brakes down into the bottom end of turn 6, the tight left-hander. No, not quite close enough. Enso-Smith had a big look Couldn't quite make it stick though, and Jason Kutsia shut the door on him firmly. Two young Carters stepped up into single-seaters. One went single-seaters, one went saloon car racing after a small outing in Formula 1600s. Your MSA4 champion is sitting there in third place, having won the seat in that Golf. And that Golf GTI 8 now having to work double time to try and catch this Corolla in front of him. Has Jason got enough here to keep him out? I think he has. That should be enough drive down that back straightaway to keep out the intentions of Casey and Smith as his teammate looks for the victory in Julian van der Vat. Van der Vat out of the final chicane. Checkered flag is on standby. And your first win today of round 2 goes to Julian van der Vat. Campos finishes up, long way back, but it's Jason Kutsia for second. 1 and 3 for the Golfs, and 2 and 4 for the Toyotas. So it's literally the two manufacturers battling hard there at the front end. Only one BMW finishing up of the two there, as we saw, although Keegan Campos did cross the line. He'll be a couple of laps back though, so we'll have to wait and see if he's classified high enough to put him into the inversion for the grid for race 2. As they come down towards the final chicane now for SupaCup, it's Rory Atkinson, Tyler Robinson, and Jason Newsmore. Rory Atkinson has done it all right. Started on the front row, kept it on the front row, going to finish up on the top step of the podium. Tyler on a similar vein, front row, second step of the podium, and second place for the Team Red and Fantech car. AF Fans and Fantech finishing up just ahead there of Jason Newsmore. And a good run to the line behind Newsmore. Nicky Vastanis just behind Judd Berthold. And then it was Brad Limburg beating out Nico Zafiris, and Davide Franco with Rick Leroux winning out the fight for the Masters. You have an unofficial results there, of course. Julian van der Vat, Jason Kutsia, Casey Ensel Smith, Michael van Rooyen and Andrew Schofield. The top 5 and first 5 in the South African touring cars. Atkinson, Robinson, Loosemore, Berthold and Vastanis are your top 5 in the battle for SupaCup. Keegan Campos was 1 lap back. That might be enough for him to still be classified and in with a chance of the inversion working his way. And we'll have to see if Robert Volk can get that second, or the third Golf I should say, back in action and fixed in time for race 2 later on this afternoon.